Are you a top or a bottom or a verse? Welp, this should be interesting. Welcome everyone to Power Brainbows. I'm of course your host, Professor Pride, and on today's show we're answering all of your great questions, but with a twist. We're answering all of your questions that you normally wouldn't ask a gay person, but today I'm that gay person and here are the answers to those questions, so you don't have to ask all of your other gay friends. Anyway, before we get to all those great questions, don't forget to like this video, comment down below your LGBTQ-friendly thoughts, hit that rainbow subscribe button, and share this video with others. First up today, Zappertech DVT says, did you ever tell a straight guy you were into them? Yes, that happens quite a bit, actually. You just start having a crush on a guy, and you walk over to them and tell them, hey, you're really cute, and you want to hang out sometime, or something like that, or you start a little conversation and start flirting with them, and they let you know that they're straight. 9 times out of 10, they take it as a compliment. The other time, maybe it's just like, hey, I'm not interested, but they don't really tell you their sexual orientation. Albert Unruh says, how many times have you had a crush on a girl? If I'm being honest, 0. And that's just being blatantly honest. So very early on in life, I went to a Catholic grade school and middle school, and so for all those years, it was sort of drilled into my head of like, everyone's straight and nothing else is existent even. And so that sort of pounded into my head of, you have to have a crush on a girl someday. And so when all the men at the table for lunch would talk about having crushes on girls and all this other stuff of like, oh, this girl's cute, I would just be like, oh, yeah, just to fit in. And just so I wasn't bullied even heavier. I had a girlfriend in high school for about a year, and I had a girlfriend in college for about a month. And those situations, if I'm being honest, were just to cover over the fact that I was gay and to kind of keep people off of the trail and the scent that I was gay. But looking back, there was all these boys around me that I had deep crushes for, and I wanted to start dating, and I imagined holding their hand or going on romantic dates and getting married to them someday. And I never felt that way once about a girl. So even though it appeared to some on the outside that I had all these crushes on girls, the truth is I never did. Chase Lamont says, are gay people more open to expressing their fantasies or more reserved about it compared to other people? I would say before you come out of the closet, gay people in general and LGBT people in general are more reserved about talking about their lives in general. They hide a lot of their personality in general for fear of other people connecting any dots together to figure out they're actually LGBTQ. We try to hide as much of our personality, as much of ourselves as possible throughout our childhood before we come out of the closet. And before we start getting accepted by other people. And so what we see in 99.999% of cases of gay people, pansexual, bisexual, trisexual people, etc., is for the year or two at the very least after you come out and you first start getting accepted by other people, if you're accepted, is this just abundance of talking about being gay finally. And you literally will not have one conversation go by without trying to bring up that you're gay in that conversation. It doesn't matter what that conversation is about. You try to steer it towards being a gay topic. And it's sort of just something where your family and your friends have to be understanding during those moments and have to accept the fact that it's going to happen, because they have to realize for years you weren't able to talk about anything of your personality, and finally you're able to talk about one aspect and you're like, oh my God, like everything has to be rainbow now, you know? So they have to be very accepting of that. And so I think it goes in the complete opposite direction, where after you come out, all of a sudden you're way more open about talking about your fantasies. Like, I know I have a TV show, so I'm very privileged in that way, but in general, I talk about, you know, getting a boyfriend and a dog someday, and we're going to get married, and already kind of have some wedding plans picked out. I already think about my husband and I adopting a child one day, or places we can move to, places we can go on vacation. You sort of have these fantasies all throughout your childhood that everyone else is able to talk about because they're straight or whatever. And now all of a sudden, all those fantasies from all those dreams over the years are able to be talked about openly. And so after you come out, all those fantasies are like, oh my God, here's my fantasies. So it goes in the complete opposite direction. So it's both of those answers, Chase. Is it possible, asked, how do you tell someone you like them if you don't know their sexuality? Well, I think in any situation, again, it comes down to communication. You just walk up to someone, you make a conversation with them, say hello, how you doing? And just, you flirt with them a little bit and see how they take it. If they're accepting of that, well, maybe they like you back and maybe you can ask them out. If they're really not getting into the conversation, if they're not asking you questions too, if they're really not feeling in the mood for it, well, then maybe they're not into you, or maybe they're straight or something. But if you don't know their sexuality, I always say a risk is always worth taking with that sort of situation, because I'd rather walk away from that moment going, oh, they were straight or whatever, rather than walking away going, well, what if? Or what could have been had I asked them out, you know? Michael Anthony asked, how do you deal with homophobes in the wild? Well, in the wild would imply that there's lions and tigers and bears. Oh my! And so I would just let the animals attack the homophobes, and that'd be wonderful for me. Anyway, in all seriousness, I've only ever dealt with 3 homophobes in my life, in real life, I would say. And in those situations, I had to understand that no amount of education that I provide to them is going to change their mind. It's very sad in that way, but you have to understand, for their entire life, they never had a proper education. Their parents never taught them right. And so they've never had any facts or scientific evidence in their life to show them how valid being LGBTQ is. And so there's no amount of evidence I can provide to them that would change their mind at that point, because they're not basing their argument on facts or evidence. They're basing it solely on opinions. And even the people that are like, oh, being gay is a sin, they're basing it on opinions that are completely false. And so if I provide any evidence to the contrary to that, I look like the bad guy. And so we're doing an episode on this soon, on the psychology of that. But I have to understand as an activist that I'm not going to break through those very difficult minds that were never taught properly. All I can do in that situation is tell them, hey, here's this education on Powered by Rainbows. Go learn what you want to learn. And if you're willing to change and willing to hear another opinion besides your own, if you're willing to hear facts and evidence out, here are the facts. But if you're not willing to do that, I don't have time to talk to you. Alex W. asked, have you ever felt pressured to like a girl? Did you grow up in an accepting household? Were you scared to come out? Well, Alex W., well, you have the same name and last initial there of the first boy I ever had a crush on. So if you're actually Alex from my Boy Scout days, hi, I had a crush on you. There's a whole episode about you now. But if you're not him, sorry. Anyway, back in the day, I went to Catholic grade school and middle school, so I felt immense pressure to be straight and to like girls, and that's why I had a lot of those crushes back in the day. And so I thought being forced to go to a Catholic grade school where it was taught how being gay was wrong, even though facts are wonderful and it's not actually a sin to be gay, I thought by going to those schools that my family was not very accepting. But the truth is, like, in retrospect, I remember my family never said any kind of slurs against the LGBTQ community. They never put down the community anytime a news story was on the TV. They were always accepting of love in general. And I remember my mom actually caught me being gay at 12 years old and never said a word about it. And that was the only gift she ever gave me. Like, my mom was horribly abusive elsewhere in my life, and she's out of my life for good now. But really, she hid that secret from everyone, and I am eternally grateful for that one and only gift she ever gave me, because it allowed me the time to figure it out on my own. And so I should have never been scared to come out to them, because they were so accepting, and testing the waters would have told you how accepting they all were. But I was still scared to come out to them. It still took me 14 years after I first learned that I was gay to come out to them. and I was still having night sweats and panic attacks before I came out for the first time to them. So it just, you can never get rid of all of your fear, but certainly I was very fortunate in that. But I know there are other people out there that are not as fortunate, and I feel absolutely terrible anytime I hear one of those comments come through that a parent wasn't accepting. It breaks my heart because I know how fortunate I was. Rebellious Pastry asks, when you ask a dude out, is it a more painful rejection if he is straight or if he is an aro ace? So aro means aromantic, ace means asexual here. I've never asked anyone out that was aro or ace before, so I don't know to answer that part of the question. But far as straight people go, I've flirted with a lot of straight dudes over the years, but if you flirt with them, they kind of make it known that they're straight, and I generally have pretty good gaydar for that kind of stuff, so you pretty much figure it out pretty fast. But it's a situation where the straight guy can take it as a compliment that you think that they're cute, but at the same time, it actually hurts less asking a straight guy out and getting rejected than a gay guy, because you think about a gay guy and you're like, okay, you're gay, so why else don't you like me? And it begins this other analysis in your brain of what did I do wrong to mess that up, or do I not look cute enough, or what's wrong with me that they don't like me, when just whatever, two people don't like each other. In a situation with a straight person, it's like, oh, okay, you're not gay, so that's why. Justin Denny asks, are you a top or a bottom or a verse? So two pieces of information that might help you with your endeavor here. So gay.com did a study on this, and they found that 22.46% of gay men identify as tops, 31.92% identify as bottoms, 41.62% identify as versatile or switches, which are interchangeable terminology for the same thing. So there's that information, and I also will tell you that in a lot of cases, not necessarily all the time, but if someone's a lower ranking position in their professional life and their job, they may be prone to be tops because they want to have the power of that in their life. Or if they're in high ranking positions, let's say for pure example's sake, they're a founder and CEO of an international company that is in charge of a giant team of people that has to do a weekly TV show every week on the internet. Let's say in those cases, it's more than likely that the gay person will end up being a bottom, but there are certainly overlaps between them, and there are certainly days like, hey, it's your birthday, you can be a top tonight, or different cases where it's like, hey, nothing went right at all at work today. I just want to be in charge of something. Kind of moods there. There's also the times when it's like, you know what, I've been in charge of way too much today. I don't want to take charge tonight. So that's not to say that top, bottom, and verse have to do with submissive and dominant. By the way, they're two separate things. You can be dominant and a bottom. It's totally a thing that happens, but you can take that information however you want to take it, or however I would take it. Pun intended. Anyway, that's all for the amazing questions this week. Thank you to everyone who submitted your awesome questions. We appreciated all of them coming in. So keep those comments coming in the comment section down below. If you have any more questions for us, we might cover it in a future Q&Gay episode, which is probably going to be a safer episode than this one was, but just keep that in mind in the comments. If you like what we do here at PBR and want to support more LGBTQ education in the future, please consider checking out our Rainbow merchandise store using the link down below. We have brand new products that are only going to be available for a limited time only. Only for a couple weeks, that's all. And then they're gone forever. So check them out now and get yours today. Or become a member of our channel today to see exclusive behind the scenes content, bloopers, and so much more from every single episode by hitting the join button down below next to the subscribe button. While you're down there, don't forget to like this video, comment down below your LGBTQ friendly thoughts, hit that rainbow subscribe button so you don't miss out on weekly LGBTQ educational episodes, and share this video with others. As always, I'm your host, Professor Pride. Have a gay day, everyone, and bye for now.